Ever since the first time playing games as a kid, I had fun playing all kinds of games since then. Some were great and today are well remembered, but then there are a few games that aren't really well remembered today. And I am talking about these games. Today I'm talking about a game that has been very influential to the kind of taste of games I have today. And it is one of the greatest games that you could possibly play on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This game is a masterpiece, similar to games like Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, and Illusion of Gaia. In fact, this game is part of the series Illusion of Gaia is from, and is considered the third entry of this series. It went largely unknown in most parts of the world, but living in a European country, I had the pleasure to grow up playing this game and watching family members play it, but more on where it did release later. It is a story about death and rebirth of a world, our world, and how you, the player, help with this process. The game that I'm talking about is an action role-playing game that was very innovative for its time. A game which story is so convoluted, but yet still great. So sit back and relax while I talk about Ark's journey in the game Terranigma. Terranigma is the third entry of the Soul Blazer series. The previous two games being Soul Blazer, obviously, and Illusion of Gaia / Time. That depended on where you lived. Here in Germany it was called Illusion of Time. Terranigma was known in Japan as Tenshi Zoujo. Basically, a rough translation of that is the creation of heaven and earth, which actually is a good description for what is happening in the game. But more on that later. The game was developed, just like Soul Blazer and Illusion of Gaia, by Quintet and published by Enix and Nintendo. The game was a critical success with very high ratings in many outlets, such as Nintendo Life, Famitsu and Player One. It however was not released everywhere, just Japan, Europe and Australia. However, English, German, French and Spanish localized versions of the game do exist. It never officially released in North America, and this is why I think the game went under the radar. Let's talk about the story. You play as Ark, though get the option to rename him to whatever you like, who is a boy living in a seemingly peaceful village called Krista. He is known in the village as a bit of a troublemaker, chasing panicking chickens into the weaver's house, for example, where the story begins, and you have to go apologize. Boring so far, right? But once you return to your home, you see some other guys from the village that are curious about a blue door, who they were told to never open. So what do you do, of course? Break the door and find out what's behind it. Or more like, who's behind it. Climbing down the stairs, you'll find a box, and Ark touches it, releasing a strange creature that introduced itself as Yomi. Yomi introduces you to the inventory system, which funny enough is the box in which Ark climbs into every time you open it, which causes this funny little animation in the process. Yomi also becomes your companion throughout the game, having some dialogues with him and giving you hints. Soon after that, Ark's girlfriend, Elle, comes to check on him and see if he's alright. And then, like every other villager, she freezes. For unknown reason. Speaking to the elder of the village, who for some reason has not frozen, reveals that touching the box caused this and that Ark now has set a chain of events in motion that cannot be stopped. The elder tells you to go to the 5 towers outside of the village. Upon going outside of the village, you discover that the world looks very odd. Crystals? Is this snow? Ash? What's with the lava? What is this place? This does not look like the world I was talking about earlier. Doesn't matter. Right now you're on a quest to return the villagers to normal. So Ark journeys to the first tower. He goes in there and fights monsters, solves puzzles, finds some treasures, and then when he reaches the top, something very curious happens. That's right, you just resurrected the first continent, Eurasia. The same thing happens in the other towers. South America. Africa. North America. And before you resurrect Australia, you get a taste of how boss fights are like in this game, which can be really tough, especially if you happen to have a too low level for the fight. After having finished your quest and the villagers have returned to normal, you're being sent to your next one. This time in a new world, leaving your friends and girlfriend behind to further assist the resurrection of the world. Our world, Earth. You find yourself in a barren landscape, void of any life. So now it's your job to return this life to the world by helping the fauna and flora to turn from monsters back into their normal forms, which are plants, birds, animals, plus the animals probably have one of the most fun escort missions I've seen in any game, and last but not least, humans. At this point, the world is resurrected, and the game really picks up with interesting stories and side quests. But I'll keep those for you to discover on your own. You help humans prosper, causing civilizations to grow and inventions to be made. You find new friends and new enemies. You learn more about the mysteries of the world and ultimately face your greatest challenge. And with that said, this is pretty much all I can say about the story, otherwise I would go into spoiler territory. So I would just recommend you guys to play this game for yourself, especially if you love old SNES games and you have never heard about this game before. I promise you, you will not regret this. Of course, if there's one thing, and it's pretty much the only thing I can grab about this game, is it has a ton of fetch quests, but ultimately it's worth it. Like I said before, this game has been part of my childhood, and just like the games such as Secret of Mana, Illusion of Gaia, or even Secret of Evermore, it's been very influential about what kind of games I like and what I don't like in games. And thinking about it makes me kind of sad that there's been a whole big part of the world that has never experienced this game officially. Because like Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, Illusion of Gaia, and Secret of Evermore, it's one of the SNES masterpieces. There's a couple masterpieces on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but this is one of the hidden gems, especially true for North America. So yeah, this is about it. I don't really have much more to say about this game except for I had a really good time playing through this again. Actually, this has been my first time actually playing through it myself, because back then I, for some reason, never beaten it. I played it a little bit back then, but most of the times I watched my family members play it. And this is actually the first time I've beaten it myself, and had a blast doing it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I spent a lot of time working on this video, and I'm really proud of how it turned out, so I would appreciate it so much, guys, if you left a like and you subscribed, because I'm definitely planning on making more videos, especially if this video is becoming popular. This has been Under the Radar, Terranigma.